right, today let's talk about how you can actually dramatically lower your ghost rate so that way you can become a more effective and more profitable apartment locator. So it's no secret that in any sales job really in the world, ghosting is a real concern and something that happens really in any industry. There's no getting away from ghosting if you're working in an industry that pays you commission. So that's true anywhere, and in apartment locating, there's also no excuse. Sometimes your clients will ghost you, but in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to dramatically lower your ghost rate to nearly zero so you can close your clients and live the life of your dreams, because it all starts with being successful in your career in real estate. So the first thing I'll say is you should give yourself a round of applause because you've already looked into a micro niche within real estate, which is apartment locating, which is actually in relativity to anything else you can do in the real estate industry. It is less challenging, quicker to close clients as far as lead gen all the way to receiving your check after working the client. All of that's easier than being a realtor, being a commercial real estate agent, being a land developer, an appraiser, all that stuff, right? Being an apartment locator is less challenging and more fail-proof compared to any other role you can decide to do in real estate. Okay, so let's talk about what is the normal close rate as an apartment locator. Okay, so if you're a real estate agent, you're super excited that you're starting in real estate because everyone knows there's a lot of money in real estate, right? And you're choosing to focus on the path of multifamily, just like myself and over 300 of my other students. You still need to understand the average closing rate as a locator. Okay, out of every 10 leads that you communicate with that may be in a place in their lives where they're looking to rent an apartment, out of those 10 clients that you work, you will close anywhere from 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them. So the close rate of an apartment locator is anywhere from 10% to 40%. 40% is kind of high. I've done that before, but I'm sort of an anomaly because I've been doing this business for the last 8 years and I'm really, really good at it because I study digital marketing and I teach people. But even if you close 1 or 2, then that kind of gives you an idea. Like 10 or 20% is the average close rate as a locator. So you know that you need to generate 10 leads before you close 1 or 2 of them. So what happens to the other 6 to 8 people that you don't close? Sometimes naturally in life, people just don't need to rent an apartment anymore because they decided to purchase instead of rent. That happens sometimes. Another reason is that, sometimes they find accommodation with like a friend that already has a lease, or they decide to stay with family. That happens too. It's life. A lot of different stuff happens in life. But sometimes your clients will ghost you because they just have a lot of other stuff going on that I don't know about off the top of my head. And if you're not constantly, following up with them, they're going to eventually ghost you. And it might not be that they're doing it on purpose because they don't like working with you. It could just be because they've never really met you in person. They've never seen you with their own eyes, and maybe you're just not really following up, right? What we've noticed in our locator business is that ghosting does happen, but there is a really critical thing that you can be doing to dramatically lower your ghost rate so you can make more money and connect with more people. So the biggest factor in if someone is going to ghost you or not, we have split tested over years of doing this business successfully in the 6 figures, is that if a client or a lead does not meet you or see you with their own eyes and has a conversation with you knowing what you look like, if that doesn't happen, then you're at a tremendous disadvantage of being ghosted. So that's why if you study this industry, a lot of brokerage firms that do apartment locating, they require their agents to actually work in office and take in-person appointments, because we all understand, it's generally understood that if you sit down with a client, they meet you in person, they see what you look like, you have a conversation, generally speaking, you're gonna probably close that client and ghosting won't really become an issue. But the problem that I've realized and my company has realized is that working in person via one-on-one appointments isn't really the most effective way to work as an apartment locator because of a plethora of other problems. Like sometimes people just miss the appointment, they show up late, which ruins your calendar. They just don't want to drive all the way to wherever your office is in the city. Also, there's a lot of overhead to have a traditional commercial office space, so that's not good. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons why actually sitting down with someone in person is not really the best way to work as an apartment locator, right? So the problem is, how do we still increase the chance of closing our clients and lower our ghost rate if we know that meeting them in person isn't really the key also, right? How do we basically imitate an in-person appointment, but not actually show up in person, right? So the thing that we've been doing very recently is we've been actually using a tool called Zoom and Calendly. That is basically the solution to dramatically lower your ghost rate. So what we do instead of being a normal traditional apartment locator that doesn't make as much money is we study and utilize software to get organized on a calendar, which is Calendly. That's how we organize all of our meetings that come from our website, any kind of lead that we generate. And the second thing is we execute Zoom call appointments. And the reason we do Zoom call appointments is because Zoom is a trusted, very well-known player in the market of communications and meetings. So what I'm trying to say is that leads and clients and people in general are recognizing Zoom as a very professional tool, so that way they can have meetings with people on the internet over video. And it's not weird or awkward anymore because Zoom has just such a big brand influence and power in the marketplace, right? So it's become normal for appointments over video via Zoom. Isn't that cool? So by utilizing Zoom and Calendly and integrating both of them together seamlessly, we can basically imitate a sit-down appointment with a client looking for an apartment. We can show them our tools in our database where we really quickly build a list for them and send them over an email called a property report. I teach all of this in the ALM program that we offer, but you can actually show them the process of you building out a list by sharing your screen, because Zoom has the ability now to share your screen, right? So it's really cool. So the way we teach locating now, and no one else really does this, we were the first to ever do this in locating, but then again, we were also the first to do a lot of things in locating. Me and my team were the first company or entity ever to run a paid ad as an apartment locator. Isn't that interesting? We were also the first to run a sales funnel and develop a sales funnel for the locating industry. Isn't that awesome? I was also the first person to ever execute an over 30 unit blanket lease deal, netting 6 figures in one transaction as an apartment locator. So me and my team, we have a lot of record holding stats and stuff, right? But the most recent thing that we've done before anyone else is utilize Calendly and Zoom into our apartment locator appointments. So by working with Zoom and having those meetings really anywhere that has Wi-Fi on our laptops, we are able to effectively connect better with our clientele because they see us, they hear us. Now they're not going to want to ghost us because it's some weird psychological thing where when you meet someone, you see what they look like, you say hi to each other live. No one wants to disrespect the other person or really waste their time unless they have a really good reason. So automatically when you work via Zoom, instead of just texting or calling your leads like every other normal apartment locator, when you work via Zoom, these people are building a much better professional relationship with you, and they're not going to ghost you as often as well because they see you, they know what you look like, then they're going to think about how they ghosted you more, right? When you're sending a text message off or doing a quick phone call, these people forget what you sound like, they forget what you look like, they don't even know what you look like, and ghosting you is just more okay for them to do, right? So we don't want that because then we make less money in real estate as real estate agents, right? So what you need to do instead is learn how to set up Calendly and Zoom inside of your lead gen sales funnel as an apartment locator, so that way you can generate leads, you can automatically pre-qual them. Well, if you're a student of ours, we will teach you how to auto pre-qual everyone, but once they book appointments on your calendar, then you can execute Zoom calls and really get the advantage and all the benefits of doing meetings that way as if we were in person, get a better closing rate, lower your ghosting rate, and just make more money in general while building real connections, right? And what happens after we lease a client and lease them an apartment? If you're using Zoom calls, you have already built a better relationship. You have already leased them an apartment to generate commission from the apartment property that pays you the commission. But now you're really starting a better relationship, so that way later in the future, if you want, you can represent them as their traditional realtor and help them buy a house in the future, right? Because what do we know as real estate agents, right? Everyone always rents first before they buy a house. You don't just turn 18 and move out of your parents' house and then buy a $500,000+ home, right? What you do is you move out of your parents' house at 18, you probably get more established in your career, you save up money by paying rent, which is smart, and then once you're further along and you have aged, you're no longer a teenager, right? You're 20, in your 30s, whatever, then you buy a house after renting for a while, right? So you might as well profit as a real estate agent and build an even stronger relationship with your clientele by meeting them over the phone, Zoom, face-to-face, live, getting getting to know them, making profit and making commission by helping them secure an apartment rental, which is way easier than selling them a house anyways. That's why we do this full time. But then afterwards, when they're ready to buy a house, just help them buy a house, because they already know what you look like, that you've already helped them. They're appreciative that you've helped them, secure their apartment rental. It's a big deal for a lot of people. But then later sell them a house if you want to, right? Or you can just do what I do and just focus on only apartments, because it's easier and I can work less and still make six figures. So I like apartment locating, but I just wanted to make that quite clear that it also helps with building relationships long term if you want to sell that client a house as well for 5-figure payouts. So real estate is awesome, so is being an apartment locator. I hope this video helped you understand the new method of taking appointments. We were the first one to ever do this or teach this, but it does work. So we exclusively now only do Zoom calls, and that's how we're going to teach our program ALM, the Apartment Locating Masterclass 2.0. We're going to take a real focused approach on teaching how to use Calendly in Zoom, so that way you guys can make more money, build stronger relationships with your clientele, and just get better organized and work less. That's what it's all about, right? So if you guys are interested in the apartment locating industry and you want like an unfair advantage, then become one of our students. All we do is this business, and then we teach others to do the same thing. The market is not flooded because there are 1.5 million active realtors doing traditional being a realtor with the MLS, as opposed to still less than 5,000 locators that are just actively full-time working as an apartment locator, right? So 5,000, actually less than 5,000 compared to 1.5 million. This market is not flooded at all to be an apartment locator. That's why we teach it and do the business, okay? So if you guys want an unfair advantage in the real estate industry, then click the link below this video, book a call with my team. What's gonna happen is we'll chat with you, see where you're at in your life and your career, see if real estate would be a good fit, and then we're gonna talk to you about how we're doing apartment locating in a much smarter way compared to the competition, and if it could make sense with your lifestyle, right? So if you want to book a call with my team and see if this business could be a good fit, we will show you how to lead gen, auto pre-qualify, set up Zoom calls so you're working smart, and make 6 figures your first year as a locator instead of a traditional realtor. So click the link below if you're interested, book a call with my team, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you so much.